So, good morning, everyone. On behalf of Brain Heart Energy and Sparbanken, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar about renewable energy for large real estate. My name is Hilary Palmfors, and I will be your moderator today. We're going to be hearing about some really exciting renewable energy technology that could certainly help change the world as we know it. There are so many topics to get our teeth into today. And we are going to have an in-depth look at what geoenergy and heat pump technology could mean for large real estate owners. So just to set the stage, some of you might be thinking that the planet is getting a rest with all the travel restrictions and lockdowns around the world caused by coronavirus. And there was indeed a very brief dip during the height of the corona crisis, but we humans are still burning fossil fuels at an alarming rate. And it is clear that we need systemic change. I certainly feel very excited to be having this conversation in Sweden, and Sweden is this EU's leader when it comes to renewables in Europe. With almost 55% of the energy used in Sweden coming from renewable resources in 2018, the country tops the EU's list, excluding Norway and Iceland. 30 years ago, that figure was 33%, which is still pretty high. But I think you'll all agree, it is still not enough. The Swedish government has set ambitious goals for sustainability, including going fossil-free by 2045 and 100% renewable energy. I am delighted, therefore, to present a number of amazing visionaries and brilliant minds who are ready to tell us about an alternative that many people certainly believe is truly groundbreaking. Right, I would now like to welcome our first speaker, Mrs. Cynthia Jonströmer. Cynthia is an alumnus from Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program, and she has, during her career, started a series of venture capital investments in education and energy. She is the co-founder of Gripsholmsskolan, a school, and is currently Chief Executive Officer for Brain Heart Capital and Brain Heart Energy AB. Cynthia is also the chairman and president of the Learning Ladder Breakthrough Innovation Prize Foundation. So we are very excited to have this exceedingly talented and very busy lady here with us today. Please give a warm creative welcome to her as we kick off our seminar, clapping, cheering, or stomping your feet wherever you might be. So, Cynthia, please.
Thank you very much, Hilary. My sincere thanks to our colleagues in Sparbanken in co-organizing this virtual event with us. It has been decided to be a physical event at Strängnäs Golf Club, but due to the second outburst of corona, we have moved this to a virtual event. So this is a very strange and difficult time because it's not a war time. It's peacetime, but we have experienced the lost lives, the global lockdowns, and many lives and industry being affected. So my heart goes to those people whose life has been affected by the pandemic. And talk about the industry, and this is extraordinary time for many industries like the travel and airline industry.
So tough.
Very tough, and like the retail and the commercial real estate industry, the restaurant and the hospitality industry. This is a very difficult time for all of these industries.
Yeah, I can only echo that. I mean, it's been such a hard time for so many people all over the world.
Exactly.
But do you see any hope in all this sadness?
Yes, actually, there's extraordinary and huge potential in all businesses because all the strive, the struggle, the challenges are huge opportunities presenting themselves for total reinvention and complete transformation. So this is time to solve, to recreate, to reinvent, and to be resilient.
Do you feel that there is some kind of disorder in the world? Do you feel that nature is trying to say something to us with all of this?
Yes, as I always say to you, that the unrest in nature is the entropy longing for order.
Yeah, I think we should all take a moment to reflect on that. The unrest in nature is entropy longing for order.
Correct. I think that we humans have done so much to the Mother Earth, to the planet.
Yeah.
So now it's time for us to reflect on what we have been doing.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of the main topic of this seminar is renewable energy. What can we do to save the planet?
Yeah, that's a wonderful perspective. Okay, so what inspired you to invest in renewable energy, Cynthia?
So this is as early as 2007. I was listening to Bill Gates' Harvard commencement speech. He said the following: whether through democracy, strong public education, quality healthcare, and broad economic opportunities, reducing inequity is the highest human achievement. So that was so inspiring. I was so inspired by his speech and his idea. Ever since then, my husband and I have decided to spend our time, our money, and our resources using our brain and heart to focus on solving the biggest challenges in the world, namely the climate and inequity. So we see, how do we do this? How do we achieve that? Then we see education, clean and fresh water, and abundant renewable energy will be the fastest path to achieve that goal.
Wonderful. So you are a highly educated lady with an intense passion for learning and education. I mean, you said yourself, you've started a school, a hugely successful school. And you've also very wonderful mother. So your interest in education is so easy to understand. But can you give us some reflections? Is there any connection between education and energy?
Yes, huge. In 2009, my husband and I, we founded the Grapestone Skolan. And after 10 years in its inception, it has become the top 10 best primary school in Sweden. So how do we achieve that, you'd ask? Because usually building education is 100 years of effort. How do we achieve that? So we have, from the beginning, my husband and I decided our school is going to teach both brain and heart. So this goes like we teach knowledge and we teach the method of learning. So that's the brain part. But even more importantly, we teach about heart. We teach grit, integrity, and empathy, which this is not so many schools in the world teaching this. Because we believe, the brain part, the IQ.
So not just results, you mean? You
no,
also focus on the...
Because the whole education system built 100 years old system based on industrialized, education method. It's very much focusing on IQ. But the thing is, we have realized through the years, IQ is not everything.
No.
And it's the combination of IQ and EQ.
Yes.
The mindset is our emotional fuel. Doing anything big and bold in the world is hard. If you don't have the emotional energy to fuel that motivation, you'd give up before long. So we realize that this goes into business, into education, in everything we do in life. So just to tell our children, you have the capacity of the knowledge. You have learned the method of how to utilize the knowledge, and what propel that knowledge to progress is actually the mindset. So that's where we invested in the renewable energy, and because we see this is a struggle, and we have to use our mindset to work with the people. First of all, what is our motivation? What do we want to do? And then is how do we achieve that? And then with who? So that's kind of connection between education and energy.
Wonderful. And in the news, all we seem to be hearing is crisis after crisis. So with this perspective, IQ, EQ mindset, we're still burning too much fossil fuel. What are your thoughts on this? When it comes to this repeated notion of scarcity and absence and lack.
Right. So we have been hearing this, so to say, the doomsday scenario. That we have always been hearing this, the cry for scarcity, right? Yes. The energy, the resource depletion. So, and actually, it's not the truth, because we have abundant energy everywhere. We have abundant resources everywhere. And then what we're not lack of access. So to say, we're not lack of energy. We lack of access to the energy. Okay. So
Yeah.
could you mute the sound? Yes.
Yeah.
So when we say that, so when it comes to scarcity, we talk about how do you have access to the abundant energy? Because I mentioned the energy is abundant, right? So I give you an example. There's 1,366 watt of solar energy heat on every square meter of Earth every year. That's huge, that's abundant. And I say this is a very generous gift from the sun. And the area...
when we see it.
Yes, and the places on Earth have the most abundant of such gift is in Africa. You will say, oh, Africa must be the richest country in the world. On the contrary, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, over 70% of population have no access to electricity. So this is a big drawback for their economic growth. So you say, it's not we're lacking of something, energy is constant, it's the access of the energy.
And I also know that you have a particular fascination with geoenergy.
When it comes to energy, there are two biggest challenges for all the energy. People working in the energy industry would know this. It's energy storage and energy transportation. We see Elon Musk build a gigafactory in Australia, and we have this, all this effort. Because why? Because it's very difficult to solve these two big problems, the challenges. So the reason Brain Heart Energy invests in this, because we see huge potentials in this. How so, as you asked? Because we use bedrock as a battery storage of energy. And it's local, it's localized. So we solve, yes, it's here, it's beneath your feet.
The heat beneath our feet.
Yes, exactly. Because we always say we look up to, actually we understand the cosmos more than we understand ourselves and understand Mother Earth, right? We always look up the sun, the sky, saying sun and wind, right?
Yeah.
It's wonderful. But the thing is, we need to look down to our ground. Beneath our ground, we have abundant, huge, incredible power from the Mother Earth. So that solves the energy storage and the energy transportation challenges. So that's why we're kind of fascinated in how we could utilize this technology to benefit.
When it comes to other renewables, such as solar and wind, I mean, I know, at least in the UK, there's so much talk about offshore wind farms, and isn't that the future? What are your views on the convergence, or I don't know, all the different ones available? It's quite confusing.
It's a diversity of different form of renewable energy.
Yeah.
And actually to be able to, what we talked earlier, to achieve energy democracy, meaning ubiquitous access at anywhere with affordable, stable, cheap, abundant energy. And that requires all the different renewable energy forms, name it like solar, wind, geoenergy, hydro, nuclear, and they all have to work together in a synchronized collaboration in the ecosystem. So it's not about who is better, it's not about that at all. It's everyone has working together hand in hand.
And there are numerous installations. I'm not sure. Remind us how many installations there are in Sweden.
So, Sweden have 10 million population. We have over 550,000 installations in Sweden. And it's this, and they generate over 25 billion worth of energy each year, every year. And it's huge because the geoenergy, the good thing is Sweden is a cold country.
Yes.
It requires a lot of energy. Actually, 40% of national total energy consumption going to the house heating and warm water demands. And the geoenergy can satisfy up to 90% of such demand, 90%. So it's a huge savings. So this is one of the reasons, many reasons, but this is one of the reasons why Sweden, as you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the conference, why Sweden is #1 in EU in the sustainability, because of this. Yes.
And so you say geoenergy has been around for decades, as we understand. But why has it not spread further? And why would you invest in this technology now? What is the future of it?
So
That's what we want to know.
yes, so geoenergy is actually a Swedish-born technology, has been there since 1970s, over
Yeah.
half a century.
That's
Sweden
right.
was facing oil crisis. So then the very innovative entrepreneurs developed this technology. So this is a very mature technology, not like something like a new, unproven technology. It's a very stable supply and has been there for a long time. But unlike the computer industry in the US, okay, has got lobbying power, the government subsidy, and a huge billions-dollar investment. The geoenergy had a very, very hard upbringings because instead of embracing this 100% CO2-free, abundant technology, the district heating monopoly, they have regarded this technology as their biggest competitor because they have very high profitable combustion heating business. And this is free energy.
So a threat.
It's
Because
the biggest threat.
Because it's so abundant.
Abundant, free, and it's only a matter of utilizing the technology to have more access to it.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest competitor to their very profitable heating business. So they did everything to kill it. I will tell you a story of aluminium.
Yeah, we're
Aluminum.
arguing about aluminum.
Aluminum. So would you be interested to hear it?
Yes, please.
So it's a similar resemblance to aluminium, okay? So it's about roughly 2,000 years ago, in AD 70, a goldsmith brought a shiny new metal to the Emperor Tiberius in the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
The metal was light and as bright as silver. So, and the goldsmith said he extracted this metal from plain clay. And the formula only knew to himself and the gods. So instead of being very excited to this fantastic new metal, the emperor was concerned about he amassed fortune of gold and silver through all the wars, right? So he thought the value would decrease. So instead of giving the reward to the goldsmith, he ordered his head to be cut
Oh
off.
dear.
So, and that beheading marked its loss to the world for nearly 2,000 years.
You mean aluminium
Correct.
became unavailable?
Correct.
Yeah.
So until
Okay.
early 1880s, it's
Yeah.
reappeared
When it
in the
was-
world.
yeah.
Right. But that,
Sort of
like
discovered.
correct.
Yeah.
But to think about on the Napoleon III, when he served his national banquet for the king and queens, the most honorable guests were served aluminium. The lesser guests were served in gold.
Okay.
It's that. So the aluminium at that time was regarded as the most valuable and the rarest metal in the world. But today we knew aluminium is abundant. It's the third most abundant element in Earth's crust, right after oxygen and silicon. So you see scarcity versus abundance. This is exactly the
Okay, so I
relationship
understand the
between the
dynamic.
energy, sort of like scarcity versus abundance. So it's irrelevant. So it's only the access to it.
Okay.
So because right now we have a throwaway mentality towards aluminium, but not 150 years ago.
Okay,
I
I
put it like
understand.
this.
Yeah, but you mentioned these struggles that you've been, or that the geo-industry has been experiencing, I guess half a century. But you still decided to enter this territory. You still decided to enter the geo-energy market. Why?
Oh, this is going hand in hand with what you asked me earlier about education. So it's about mindset. Because, it's not that we see there are difficulties and we just say, okay, it's so difficult, so we don't work with it.
Yeah.
My husband and I, we are kind of stubborn people. So we decide to go for it because, our motivation of doing something in our lifetime really benefit to mankind, to really solve this climate issue, inequity, to really solve this through this technology. So let's say in 2012, Green Hat Capital invest a huge amount of investment into established green hat energy, and we focused on rationalizing the entire geoenergy, this heat pump industry processes, because it's very messy, because it has been, so to say, grassroots, kind of, because it's the major industries did not support it, so there's no money. There was extremely limited investment into this
So
field.
that's why you saw this huge potential to
Correct.
invest.
Because we know and we see this, what is needed is the government support, the industry support. We need to find new partners, and we have, brave and visionary customers to joining us on the journey. So we invested also, Bring Out Energy AB invested large investment into Megawatt Solution in 2016. So we more focusing on digitalization and industrialization and standardization of the product. So for the first time, right now we have megawatt capacity, standardized product to be shipped, to be able to, ready to be shipped anywhere on this planet. Yeah,
That's
we
fantastic.
do agree.
So using the digital technology riding on the back of it, and your customers have been open to this.
Yes, we have been very, very lucky, because the thing is, we believe, why do we, you see that, why do we see the potential? Because right now it's the age of accelerating technology. If we could ride on the back of the digital technology, then we will follow the Moore's law. And then we will be able to hop on the back of so to say, exponential growth. And then once when you have exponential growth, think about, just one example. When the rocket went to the moon in 1960s, the GPS, it's huge, right? Fit in the corn of the rocket and cost millions of dollars, right? And right now, it's like the size of a rice in your mobile phone, anyone carry. Yes, exactly. So this is what we see, this technology over time. We have, through our investment, through our fantastic engineers, years and years of effort, we have reduced the cost to a fraction of before.
To tap into this.
Exactly. So this is, we do hope that we can see the spread of this technology worldwide to be able to have doing both heating and cooling. So to say, there will be a huge amount of saved energy, because if you see all over the world, in every country, the average of energy consumption, 40% in every country is going to residential, either heating or cooling. So if this technology can contribute major part of that, hot water, heating and cooling, that means over 20% of total energy consumption in every country, more than that, will be saved. And you can use that energy to do what? Education, so to say, water, sanitation, and desalination.
Oh my goodness,
and healthcare, and new industries. Because right now, we have so many new industries spur up everywhere, right?
Fantastic.
So if I compare the computer industry in the US, because it's the same time, in the 70s, right? Spurn up, like same time in Sweden as the heat pump industry. But that computer industry have got so much government subsidy. The industry has been fostered over thousands and thousands of companies. It's a global $1 trillion industry today. So if we can do the same with the geoenergy, you can see we will be able to have ubiquitous access to the cheap, affordable, abundant, anywhere access to the energy, and we utilize, so to say, incredible power of Mother Earth.
What a fantastic vision you've left us with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hilary.
What a pleasure.
Thank you.
So now, I have a real treat for you. I would like to invite Professor Björn Palm to share his great knowledge on the subject of heat pumps. If there is anything that can be known about heat pumps, he surely is the one to tell us. Björn Palm is Professor of the Department of Energy Technology at KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Sweden. For 20 years, he's been heading the division of Applied Thermodynamics and Refrigeration, specializing in heat pumps, refrigeration equipment, and heat transfer.
Thank you, Hilary. So just for the international audience, the Royal Institute of Technology, or KTH, is the largest technical university in Sweden, and it's located in Stockholm. It's the Department of Energy Technology. In my group, we are working with energy transitions in buildings and cities with a special focus, I should say, on heat pumps. And this means that we cover the whole chain from heating in cities and how to arrange that to buildings and the heat pumps within the buildings and the components of the heat pumps, for example, the heat exchangers, as you see here. And we also do fundamental research related to heat transfer, for example. Just to show you one example of one project we're working on, this shows a house where we have a heat pump connected and solar panels giving PV and as well as heat. We have battery storage and have also other types of energy storage here. Components are most important, which are feasible in different types of environments and which may be feasible in the future also, and also which components needs further development. Talking about the development within the heat pump sector, it's impossible to do that without talking about refrigerants. As probably most of you know, about 30 years ago, we were using so-called freons in heat pumps and refrigeration equipment. And we found out that those were influencing the ozone layer, and thereby we should switch to something else. And at that time, we were switching to what is called HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons. These do not contain any chlorine, and thereby they are not influencing the ozone layer. But on the other hand, they are still strong greenhouse gases. So for that reason, we would like to get rid of those as well. Now there is a switch towards what is called HFO, hydrofluoroolefins. And these substances are synthetic, so they are not abundant in the environment from natural sources, at least not in land and in the air. But they have short atmospheric lifetime, so therefore they do not influence the global warming very much. There is also a development towards using hydrocarbons without any fluorines, which are naturally occurring substances in the environment, and therefore we do not expect any unexpected effects in the long run. So, for example, propane is a very good refrigerant to use in the future. I can show you one picture here. This is from a European Union project where we were developing a new type of hydrocarbon heat pump using propane as refrigerant. And we were developing the heat exchangers, the compressors, the fans, the control systems. And one important aspect here is to try to reduce the charge of refrigerant just to mitigate any risk of using a flammable refrigerant. Another important change ongoing right now is how to control the heat pumps. By tradition, we were using outside temperature and inside temperature to steer the heat pump, control it. But nowadays, it's also possible to use the weather forecast, and we can also use forecasts about the internal gains when people are coming home, when they are leaving, how much tap water they use, and what type of day that happens. And we can use forecasts about the solar radiation, etc., etc. And all of this can be fed into a controller, and thereby we can optimize the performance of the heat pump, make it run when it should run, and make it run less with lower power when that is required. Another development is for geothermal heat pumps. That it's possible to go for deeper boreholes. The drilling equipment is being developed so that it's less expensive to make boreholes. And in our group, we have people working on boreholes which are down to 800 meters deep. And as you can see from the little graph down to the right, the temperatures at that depth is higher than closer to the ground. So it should be possible to get warmer water up from boreholes at those depths. Of course, to do this, we need also new heat exchangers, and the little picture on the left shows an example of a coaxial heat exchanger, which can be used for extracting heat from such deep boreholes, and also from less deep boreholes, of course. About the development for the future, well, here is a citation from one of the reports we have written. And we see at least three important developments which will influence the energy system. One is, of course, that we are having a growing penetration of intermittent and decentralized renewable sources like wind and in other countries, also solar energy. Another development is that more and more private households and companies will be having PV panels on their roofs. So we will have not only consumers and producers, but also prosumers, people who are organizations who are both using electricity and producing electricity. And the third fact is that we are moving towards a more electrified energy sector. So instead of using fuels as a base for energy electricity production, we will be more and more depending on solar and wind. And this will, of course, influence how we produce heat in the future. I have a graph here taken from the International Energy Agency, and the top dark blue part here is the share of households choosing heat pumps when they buy new equipment for heating and hot water production of the buildings. And as you can see, now the share is only a few percent, but already in about 10 years from now, the expectation is that more than 20% worldwide will choose heat pumps for heating purposes in the houses. And this is not the only reason for heating, of course. And the same IEA report states that heat pumps could satisfy about 90% of the global heating needs with a lower carbon footprint than gas-fired condensing boilers, even if we consider the carbon dioxide emissions connected to the electricity production. So we can see that heat pumps have a great future. And if we look at all the roadmaps which are written concerning the future, both in Sweden and in Europe and worldwide, we will see that all of these point to heat pump as an important part of the heating solutions of the future. And that concludes my short presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. All right, that was wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Palm. I'm receiving a question already here for you. Would there be enough space for geothermal pumps in densely urbanated areas?
Yeah, this is a very good question, of course. And when we talk about geothermal heat pumps, they can be designed in basically two different ways. Either you just extract heat from the ground and do that continually year after year. And if you do that, there will be a depletion of the heat in the ground and temperatures will go down. But by rather simple means, you can recharge the ground during the summertime when the temperatures are higher. So just by pumping down warm water created by contact with the air, for example, simple solutions, you can recharge the ground so that nothing will happen over time.
Okay, thank you so much. So Cynthia and Björn, you've presented these fantastic images. We have the vision and we certainly have the theory there, thank you. It's now time for us to find out how we can do this on a large scale. So to help us do that, I'm going to welcome Inga Pichler, CEO of Megawatt Solutions Nordic. She is such a bright mind and she has extensive experience of running companies all over the world. She has developed specific knowledge on geoenergy after spending many years developing Megawatt Solutions' main product, the e-box, and we look forward to hearing about that right now. Thank you so much, Inga. Welcome.
Thank you, Cynthia and Professor Palm, for your fascinating presentations. Your vision and your theory about geoenergy technologies actually strongly support my belief of these technologies can have a huge impact on humanity. Although geoenergy has been around for more than a half a century, and this is only until recent years that we have standardized and industrialized these technologies to support large-scale real estate heating and hot water demand up to megawatt level with 100% coverage. So Megawatt Solutions supplies stable, efficient, and inexpensive CO2-free renewable energy in one complete product. We avoid lengthy and messy installations in the basement or equipment rooms in the buildings. The installation, the integrated solutions is provided in a form of ready product. We call it energy in the box, the e-box. The e-box is pre-fabricated and pre-tested in the factory, a true plug-and-play industrial solution. We can provide a locally centralized energy solution for entire residential area up to 5 megawatt, over 1,000 apartments. Our typical installation size are between 10 to 60,000 square meters. The product is designed and manufactured in Sweden. After system tested in the factory, our e-box is ready to be shipped to our customer worldwide. This is our e-box primary, and here you can see all the energy production units, such like 8 units of R290 heat pumps, the brine collector system, the heating distribution system, sensors are all built inside the e-box primary. The system is designed to provide mission-critical operation with operating time up to 99.6%. We have preventive maintenance, ensure continued energy production without stopping during service. And this is very unique in the industry. This is our e-box auxiliary inside. We have our digital control units, our SCADA system, domestic hot water production system, and the supporting units. At 55 degrees, we could continuously produce hot water at rate of 1.1 liter per second. The e-box is equipped with numerous control features and sensors. We monitor the energy performance and the efficiency of the entire system. All of our digital control units are connected with our supervisory control and the data acquisition system, which has both local SCADA features and cloud server feature. Our SCADA cloud has enabled our customers to remotely access their building management system, as well as e-box and energy system from their mobile devices. With our SCADA system, our customer can control the e-box energy system both locally or at remote location. They could monitor, gather, and process real-time data and make smart decisions. If the customer wishes, our SCADA system could directly interact with devices such as sensors, valves, pumps, motors, ventilation controls, cameras, and many more building management system through HMI software. Our SCADA system records events into a log file and can generate useful reports for real estate owners. Now you will see a short video to describe how does our installation looks like. Imagine a very clean and organized construction site with a plug-and-play solution. This is what your energy manager might look like when they work with us and using e-box solutions. Our industrialized CO2-free e-box solutions with our rationalized business processes and our digitalized manage and control systems gives our customers peace of mind with many added features. I will mention a few examples. First one, customer can control the energy consumptions. Our SCADA system will enable customer to identify their energy usage patterns, manage the energy consumptions, reduce wasteful behaviors, adjust control units based on real-time data. Second, customer can securely handle mission-critical operations. For some properties, such as hospitals, elderly care centers, healthcare facilities, system downtime is not acceptable. Therefore, systems need to be robust and reliable. At the same time, the energy system should be able to adapt and expand based on customer needs. Our megawatt solution e-box energy system, together with our SCADA system, are designed for such tasks. Third, customer can be aware of issues before they become a problem. Our SCADA system should receive and communicate at a different level of alarm conditions, including warnings. This would allow the building owners and the building managers to track building environment and the system conditions if the need arises, and they can respond quickly. Fourth point, to provide your assets with high satisfactory ratings. Buildings are subject to extreme weather conditions. We can provide property owners satisfactory CO2-free environment for the buildings and comfortable living conditions for the tenants to supply stable and abundant heat and hot water in the cold winter. This is a very important criteria for building ratings. Last point, to meet the social and corporate responsibility objects, our system will provide reports, can visually demonstrate the energy usage, as well how carbon emissions are being reduced. This will help property owners to meet the green initiatives, government requirements, and corporate social responsibility demands. Seeing is believing. I would like to show you some real figures from one of our installation sites in Södertälje, south of Stockholm. These figures are being verified and provided by our customer after 3 years operation of our e-box energy system. With only 31% green electricity used for heat pumps, customers receive 69% free energy from bedrocks, 100% coverage with geoenergy, no need for district heating, the fjärrvärme, during the cold winter peak time, 100% carbon emission free heating, reduction in CO2 emissions from 450 tons to zero. Energy cost saving after switch to e-box is 1.2 million Swedish kronor per year. The installation is 50 years lifetime guaranteed with a service contract. 100% increase in property value. Operational net saving is 1 million Swedish kronor per year. Here we also have a short video of our customer, a view on geoenergy.
Jag heter Sune Eriksson och jobbar som energi- och miljöchef på Hemla. Jag har jobbat med energifrågor sedan 30 år tillbaka. Jag tror att i framtiden kommer värmepumpstekniken att vara klart dominerande. Biobränslen är ju en form av förbränning också, så det är ju ingen jättebra för om vi pratar CO2-utsläpp. Hemla har ett energimål att vi ska sänka vår köpta energi med 30% och dessutom vara helt fossilfri med uppvärmning, och vi siktar ju väldigt mycket på värmepumpar.
Our society will see radical change in terms of how we produce, consume energy. Our e-box solutions present a real opportunity to harness the power of the earth, performing eco-friendly projects, while also cutting carbon emission and save money. Let's work together to achieve energy democracy. Thank you very much for listening. For more information, please check out company website. Welcome to the future.
The e-box. How is this going to reach the market? How are you going to bring your services to the market?
Megawatt solution Besides, we have our products in the e-box. We also do the turnkey solutions. Means that when we face the customer, we actually give them the turnkey, including the project from the very beginning, installations, design, installations, and everything. So it's more like we're the turnkey providers. So, but at the same time, we also developing many of what we call value-added partners that we only deliver our product e-box to them, where they have a pretty comprehensive the team to do the other part of installation and design. So we do both.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Right, to keep our schedule, I think we'll have to go straight into the next speaker. To achieve carbon-free, cheap, abundant energy, or this energy democracy, as Cynthia so wonderfully explained, all of us need to be engaged in this development, essentially. And for this to happen, access to capital is going to be a crucial part of the puzzle. So now it's my great pleasure to invite our final speaker, Mr. Stefan Öhman from Sparbanken. Hello. Stefan has been in banking for 35 years and is currently a sustainability manager at Sparbanken. Thank you so much for joining us. He has a long-held passion for the environment and is a key person in keeping his colleagues and customers updated about all the latest regulations, which is an enormous task with the EU and national and international regulations changing and being updated constantly. So that's quite a job. Stefan will be giving us a broad picture of Sparbanken's very innovative vision in supporting renewable energy. So thank you so much, Stefan. Welcome. Over to you.
So as Hilary said, my name is Stefan Öhman and I'm head of sustainability at Sparbanken Räkarna, which is a bank operated in Eskilstuna and Strängnäs municipalities. And I thought I'd give you a short presentation of how we discussed and are still discussing sustainability issues in the bank, and also give you a short comment on the new EU regulation, Sustainable Finance. If we start from the beginning, I work in an organization which is built on the idea that it wanted to help ordinary people out of poverty, and that any profit from doing so should be reinvested in the community. So we have for a long period of time thought that we are a truly sustainable company. But time changes and we started to question ourselves if we should see sustainability from other perspectives. So the first question we asked ourselves was, how shall we define sustainability? We thought that we have found the answers in Agenda 2030-17 SDGs, and as so many others, we categorize sustainability into 3 categories, like economic, social, and climate. What we also found that was really interesting was that the Paris Agreement puts capital markets incentive for achieving transition to a more sustainable society by only allocate funds or finance projects that are sustainable. This is also a core in EU's sustainable finance regulation. But with working with Agenda 2030, we also get the insight how these 17 SDGs were linked together. So without a planet, no society, and without a society, no economy. So we draw the conclusion that we needed to expand our definition of sustainability, and we needed to include sustainability in our work in different ways than before. What also became clear to us was the meaning of SDG number 17, that is all about working together. So what have we done and what shall we do to become a more sustainable bank? Well, we started out with our internal processes, like changing light bulbs, optimize our heating system, and reduce our paper use. This have a good effect on environment and society, but creates very little value for us as a company. So the next step is to start selling products and services that are more sustainable, which is also very good for society, but the slightly high prices of some of these products and services is not high enough to create value for the company. And I think that as long as sustainability doesn't create value for the company, it will be looked upon with skeptical eyes and sometimes and something we do on the side. So the next step for us is to make sustainability a part of our business model, which will be really interesting, but also very challenging, I think. This year is the first time we have set goals for our work with sustainability. We want to help our clients to invest in a sustainable way. We educate both our colleagues and customers in what we call sustainable economy. We have initiated a project with purpose to achieve a higher level of gender equality and inclusion. As previously mentioned, we work with reducing our negative impact on the environment. And finally, we have set goals for how we shall make our lending more sustainable. And this is critical for us. The transition to a more sustainable society includes new business models, changing values, and in many areas, especially in the energy sector, there are many competing technical standards. So lending has become more complicated, but in the same time also more important if we shall manage to reach the goals set in the Paris Agreement. So working together with companies like Megawatt Solutions and participate in webinars like this is important for us in many ways. Finally, I want to take the opportunity to say a few words about the Sustainable Finance Regulation. If you haven't started looking into what the consequences these rules have on your organization, now is the time. Sustainability consists of 4 different groups of regulation, and I want to draw your attention to 2 of them. First, the disclosure agreement. Financial institutions have to inform on their website how they will consider sustainability in their decision making. It is very unlikely that financial institutions will say that they will not include sustainability perspective in their decision making, for instance, in lending. That raises the question of how you define what is sustainable and what is not. To answer that question, EU have produced something they call taxonomy. In taxonomy, you have clear limit values on what is sustainable and what's not. For instance, cars that are produced after 2025 and emission carbon dioxide will not be considered sustainable. In taxonomy, there is a chapter about what is sustainable when it comes to buildings that I think could be very useful for you to know about, especially now when there's a debate going on whether buildings in our climate zone can reach the limit value stated in the taxonomy. All regulation in sustainable finance is not finalized yet, but some of the rules applies from March next year. Finally, if you are interested in learning more about how the new regulation affects you and your business, please let us know. Depending on what you're interested in, we might find issues we can collaborate around. So thank you for listening.
For the Q&A session, we'll also be inviting Pontus Gällerskog and Carl Lundevi from Sparbanken to join us on the call. I believe we have them connected. Hello. So, how are real estate owners going to be able to make this happen? So I'm going to direct the question straight at you, Pontus and Carl. How could Sparbanken use the knowledge of their customers to upgrade customer value propositions, provide liquidity for consumer lending, working capital financing, and corporate transaction management? What are the financing solutions that you envisage?
I mean, as Stefan said, like we're taking the sustainability area more and more in consideration in our credit process, and we have a stated goal within the bank to support sustainable solutions in the ways that we can. And one way that we can do it is to finance, for example, your e-box solution, and that's pretty easy to us in different ways. And one way is because it's energy effective, and the second way, it will lower the operating cost for a property, which will lead to a higher valuation of the property, as you said before. So, yeah, we have a positive mindset when it comes to financing these kind of solutions. Yeah, basically.
And I think the results from the real estate project in Södertälje is rather impressive. We think it's rather easy to find an good-looking financing solutions because the value increased of the real estate and the costs are down. So I think what Inga mentioned, I completely agree. And it's a couple of years figures that you can show, that you have shown us and that you can show our clients.
Okay, thank you so much. So now I will direct a question to Professor Palm. All right, we have someone wondering about time perspectives here. So if we take ourselves 50, maybe even 100 years into the future, envisage a plot. Your great-grandchildren have the plot, perhaps don't want to have the house any longer. The boreholes that we are drilling today, will they still be able to be used?
Yes, of course. I mean, typically we say that the boreholes, well, it could be about 1/3 of the investment cost. Even after the lifetime of the heat pump, the boreholes will still be there, and they will be operational long into the future. Of course, as I said before, there is a difference if you recharge the boreholes or not. If you don't recharge in an urban area, then you may have decreased temperatures and thereby also decreased efficiency of the heat pumps. But with very simple solutions, it's possible to recharge the ground so that this will not happen, and then you can use the heat pump for many years. This can be done either by solar collectors on the roof or by a simple heat exchanger extracting heat from the ambient air during the summertime, or you can even use it for free cooling, so that you use the building as a heat source for the boreholes during the summertime. So you cool the building by at the same time heating the boreholes. So that would be a very efficient way to utilize the boreholes, both in the summertime for free cooling and in the wintertime for as a heat source.
Okay, thank you so much. A question for Inga. Your e-box solution, how does this compare with traditional heat pump installations? What makes it different?
Oh, well, I think there are at least 3 major points will make us very different from traditional heat pump solutions. One is like we have actually transformed the traditional manual work completely into an industrialized product. And then the second point, like we rationalized the whole process. So the product is really like, then it's ready-made product. It's already pre-tested in the factory before even ship on the site, on the construction site. And when it's shipped on the construction side, it is we call a plug and play. And then because of the whole digital part of our solutions, will make us, and as well the modular design of our solutions will make us mission critical. I think those parts which the traditional heat pump solutions will not normally be able to achieve.
Okay.
And also because of our digitalization of the system. So we are also have very high COOP of the system. And I think that's another part.
All right.
To make it very different.
Okay, thank you so much. Right, now I have another question for you, Professor Palm. So most multifamily houses are connected to district heating. Are heat pumps a good solution?
Yes, this is a very good question, of course. And the owners of the buildings will, of course, try to find the least expensive solution for heating the buildings. And if this is district heating or if it's heat pumps, that is up to the market to decide. I would say in general that I would prefer to see the city centers having district heating and the areas a bit further away from the city centers where in the outskirts on the district heating systems. That's a perfect location for the heat pumps. But of course, it depends on also in the future, how should we fire or heat the water in the district heating systems? If we don't have fossil fuels, and the bioenergy should perhaps preferably be used for transport purposes, then there may be a difficulty in supplying enough fuel for the district heating systems. So perhaps there will be large heat pumps in the district heating systems in the future. And then, well, it's a question which solution can be made in the most economic way.
All right, thank you so much. I have another question here for you, Inga. There's a lot of talk about retrofit when you fit heating installations such as this into existing buildings. Okay.
So, so it means that actually, if you made the calculation now, as the building material has changed, so the efficiency of the building to prevent their energy is like doubled than old buildings, then you just double size of the connections.
All right. And well, I also wonder, and is being thought about, why aren't more people investing in it? We've heard about this wonderful technology. I mean, it seems boundless. Why aren't more people investing in this?
Once when people really see the potential of such technology, when the message is out, there will be many investors, many partners, many people will join forces. Right now, you see Stefan, Pontus, and Carl, banks are joining the forces. So because it's not about why there isn't, because right now you see the motivation is there. If we are going to achieve energy democracy, like say 2050, that's our goal. Like in 30 years, is it possible? It's definitely possible. But then we need the whole society to join hand in hand, join forces to have capable people, good investors, so the access to capital, access to the right mindset, the access to the right people, the technology, then we will be able to achieve that. So I cannot say why people don't do it, but I'm sure there was many investment going into this field, because if people don't deliberately try to kill this technology, like aluminum, this will be abundant technology for all. Because if we say energy technology to help to achieve energy democracy, there will be demonetization because everything gets cheaper and cheaper. So we will be able to achieve, so to say, affordability, because it has to be affordable and cheap. And then you have to say, we have to be able to achieve ubiquitous. That means everywhere. So then that means the technology has to be not only in Sweden alone, worldwide, right? So if you say you also need to have one very important part is stability. Because you see, we work together with the solar and wind, but during the coldest days, the sun doesn't shine, the wind doesn't blow. But the Earth's condition, the ground condition is stable 24/7, all year round. So it's very, as Professor Palm has mentioned, it's a complementary technology. So it has to, all the different renewable energy sources has to work together. So I'm sure the $billions of dollars investment has been invested in solar, in wind, in nuclear, in hydro, can also come in the geoenergy.
That's so interesting. I think that's such a hopeful message, because I think in so many industries you hear of competition and one is better than the other. But in our situation, we have a very varied planet, which is wonderful. So I think it's fantastic to hear that you, with this, one isn't opposing other types of renewable energy, or it's a sort of call to action for everybody to join forces, essentially, and understand the unique benefits of each one.
Yes, you mentioned two things, unique and the benefit, and join forces. So unique, benefit, joining forces. Competition is a bad thing. Competition means everybody becomes shelf product. They compete for profitability. Lower down prices, nobody have profitability, they cannot develop their businesses. So what is good is everybody join forces and work together for the greater good, because then it's not always saying, okay, we slice the pie, so each one get a small piece. It's let's bake more pies. Let's create a bigger market. So that's, we call it abundance. It's where the mindset, where do you see opportunities and how do you create that opportunities?
Yes.
So it's always about that. It's abundance everywhere. Don't have the mindset of scarcity. It's not the fact. It's not the truth, because we have been evolved over the millenniums for we feel scarce. As soon as there's bad news, we immediately react to it.
Yes.
Right? It's the reptile part
Yes,
of
exactly.
ourselves.
One is
So-
more triggered to listen to the negative aspects, isn't one not? Yeah.
Exactly. So the thing is, the fact is, the world is abundant. There's a lot of there's plenty of opportunity, lot of great people, great technology, and hopefully we have enough access to capital. The bank is going to support us. Then, with very visionary and good customers joining us,
Yeah.
then we will be able to work towards the energy democracy and abundance of energy.
Fantastic. As I said, we've all been filled with hope. Certainly I have. One is so used to hearing about crises and worry and concern. I think particularly if we think about our children, that is not a message you want to fill them with. You want to fill them with hope and a can-do attitude. And regarding energy choices, I think it comes down to making the right choices, because when there are options, there are choices. So that's all, folks. Thank you so much for today. Stay safe and let's continue the conversation. Bye-bye from
Have a
me.
nice
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.